After you gather your objects, it's really important to measure the size and width of your objects, so how they look in relation to each other. So you want to have the correct proportions, and a good way to do that is holding your pencil at arm's length and using the point of your pencil as your measuring guide. You can see how the vase is about 2.5 times as tall as the apple. It's also important that you lightly sketch in some guidelines so that you know where your objects are on your paper. You can see I'm drawing the line for my vase, and then I'm going to lightly sketch in where I want the cup and the apple. It's important to have the lines for a vase because you want a symmetrical vase. You want it to look the same on both sides. So sketch in those lines to be able to put the stem and the bottom of your vase correctly. At this point, it's very important to draw your guidelines in very lightly. You will be constantly adjusting the lines. Don't be afraid to erase, and trust your eye, but also use your pencil and go back and measure things. Constantly use that technique of holding the pencil straight out, kind of squinting your eye, so that you know that one object is in correct proportion with the other. Remember, when you want to add the cast shadow, your cast shadow should follow the shape of your objects. Notice how I added the handle to the cup. Remember, when you are shading objects that are round, whatever technique you use, you want to follow the contour of the object. When you are shading in your cast shadow, you want one of your darkest values right underneath your object. So your cast shadow will be very, very dark. And as you shade out from the cast shadow, it gets slightly lighter. One of the things that I would like you to do for this still life project is to add a very dark background. Think about the tenebrism effect, spotlight effect that we learned about. So an easy way to accomplish this is to just add some very dark values in the background, and which will add a very nice contrast. Remember, you are striving for a good contrast of dark and light values in this drawing project. One of the last steps for drawing a still life is figuring out where you need your highlights, which would be the lightest value in your drawing, and where you need some very dark areas, which helps create that contrast that you are striving for. So you want to know where your light source is coming from to pick up your eraser and erase some highlights into your objects, and then add very dark lines in different areas to accent a piece, draw your eye there, and create that contrast.